Yo, yeah, it's White Tizzy, back again, billing it. However long it takes, man, I'll still be here, you know what I'm saying?
Artlist.io.
Yo, new year, new money, but it's the same old me. Need the yard that don't come cheap before I get 8 gold teeth. They wanna play with sticks and stones, I'm calling them Jamie T. Up chasing coins like Sonic, could trust me, they don't sleep. Play my songs out of whip, she said keep that shit on repeat. Gotta calculate steps, I gotta
Music
take a step back and breathe.
reimagined.
Life got busy, I turned 18, moved out, all that I had was a dream. Wanna see all of my people free, but I ain't Martin Luther. I just get on the stage and sing. Better be ready for stress that all of that paper bring. ADHD, I can't wait for shit. Do my own thing, I hate the script. My man looks like a clone of my man, really he ain't got drip.
Artlist.io.
Only getting started when it's midnight, keeping it tight if a nigga wanna go to war. It can get dark but we stay bright, coming like a night, it's on sight, ever touch my sleeve. Niggas round there wanna disagree when it's clear that I'm speaking facts. Man like me, you know I'm proactive, never gonna stop till I see the big man's on flats.
Hop on the front door, it's like midnight.
Music licensing reimagined.
You might fall out again. Off-white whip, need for speed. I'm not switching the lane. Pick up the pace, bro like that, I'm back to the base.
Back to the base. Back to the base. How I can never act. Been trying to stack up racks on racks. Boys in the back wearing all black, staying on track. Better show the gun, and that's on me. Out here getting this plea. If you work for the devil, better retreat. Coming too icy, coming too clean. Could never move shady, ain't no feeling.
Shotgun, London, what's the outcome? You
ain't no problems.
Artlist.io.
Took control, run the game. Best believe I'm shining down. Counting up my wins, yeah, I love it when they count me out. Off the leash, of the chain, where I been the dog. Best believe I run the game, you know.
$12,000 for you. $7,000 for you. And same for you, baby. Y'all make $12,000 for you. $7,000 for you. And same for you, baby. Y'all make $12,000 for you. $7,000.
What's up with it? I'm E, Edge Store, person who getting accused by Snoop Mama that I killed him, but I didn't do it. Like, facts proof.
Alright, so welcome to Break the Bank TV.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, bro.
Absolutely. Okay, so you already know why we're here.
Yeah.
So let's just get straight to it. So, of course, I interviewed Adair Ross's mother, also known as Lil Snupe. Man, your name came up. And so you reached out to me because you wanted a chance to tell your side of the story.
Yeah.
So how did you hear about the interview?
Like, people really just started commenting on my page, talking shit.
Like Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, Instagram, like Twitter and Facebook and shit. And shit, I was like, what the fuck? But then shit, I seen somebody share a video and they tagged me in. They were like, man, she tripping, son. I watched it, I was like, damn. What the fuck? Like, why the fuck she doing this shit, like making this shit, but you know.
Okay. So what were some of the things people were saying to you, like on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram?
They were like, you killed Snoop. You a bitch ass nigga. Nigga will come in on that bit like, you watch Snoop die, you ain't fucking Snoop, you envy him. I'm tripping, arguing back with him like, man, y'all tripping. Like, man, what the fuck? I'm envious somebody. I'm headed to the top with, bro. You feel me? On some petty shit, arguing back with him.
When you saw the interview, what was your initial reaction?
Like, it fucked me up because she said some shit like, he played Bishop or some shit like that. Like, what the fuck? Like, everybody that know me know that ain't me. Like, if I fuck with a nigga, I fuck with him to T. Like, I ain't finna fake like I don't fuck with a nigga. If I don't fuck with you, I'm gonna let you know. Like, shit. So she saying that shit like, then she just gonna say his bullet, man. It's like, man, that's a weird, bro. That shit is not possible. A matching gun bullet. Like, and the person been walking out here for 4 years. Like, come on, bro. Like, that shit just, and then you got people coming on, they believe in it. How you gonna believe that? Like, you can't, it ain't no way, like, and what is the judicial, what is it called, judicial system? Like, it ain't no way that possible it's gonna happen. Like, so she saying all that shit kind of fucked me up. Like, she really trying to get me hurt out of it. Like, trying to fuck up my character, and that's my thing. Like, my character, that's really everything that you stand for, you feel me? I'm stand for this shit.
The body of the young rapper Darian Ross was found in Winfield, that's in Wynn Parish. It all happened last week. Police believe an argument over a video game turned.
He was just a kid with a dream, and he just wanted to get out of here, and that's all, that's all it is to it.
Snoop was a stormtrooper, and he was determined to beset his dream. Snoop made it, and Snoop made it to the top.
I woke up that morning, man, and my mama had told me my little cousin Snoop had just got shot. I'm like, oh man, maybe did some pot stuff or something, just took a bullet. But man, when they told me, it's like, man, I took a piece of my heart, my soul,
And we sat in the yard for about 30 minutes hugging, looking up in the sky.
Wow.
In the early hours of a seemingly normal Thursday morning in 2013, 18-year-old Darian Ross, better known by his stage name, Lil Snupe, was playing video games at his friend's apartment in Winfield, Louisiana, unaware of the danger he was in. For that same morning, Lil Snupe would be executed in cold blood. The day was Wednesday, June 19th, 2013. And Lil Snupe had spent the afternoon playing video games with two of his friends in the Maplewood Apartments in Winfield, Louisiana. The three had been playing NBA 2K for several hours, and at one point during the night, they decided to start betting on the outcome of their games. What happened next has...
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation
has been the subject of much speculation since the fateful night in 2013, but official police reports state that around 4 a.m., Lil Snupe and 36-year-old Tony Holden, one of Snoop's friends, who was present at the scene, were playing a game with a $100 wager. The game was extremely even until right at the very end, Lil Snupe beat Tony on a buzzer beater. According to several sources familiar with the incident, Edric Stewart, also known as Lil E, escalated the situation and sparked a confrontation between Tony and Snoop, claiming that Lil Snupe had cheated Tony out of $100. Although Tony and Lil E had never met before that night, it was reported that Lil E fueled the argument until Tony lost his temper. Allegedly, Tony took out his handgun in a fit of rage and used it to shoot Snoop through the chest twice, ending his life instantly. Immediately after the incident, Lil E and Tony Holden fled the scene. Less than 2 hours later, the news made its way to Snoop's mother, Denisha Chester, who immediately drove over to the scene, arriving at the Maplewood Apartments even before the police did. Once the police arrived, they prevented her from going in and seeing her son and made her stay outside until they had analyzed the scene of the incident. As news of Lil Snupe's passing spread in Lil Snupe's hometown of Jonesboro, Louisiana, the entire community gathered to mourn the passing of such a young and talented artist.
Several people are remembering the young artist as more than just a rapper.
He was just a kid with a dream, and he just wanted to get out of here, and that's all, that's all it is to it.
Friends of 18-year-old Adarian Ross say he was a small-town kid with big-time dreams.
Less than 2 months before his passing, Snoop had been signed by Dream Chaser Records, a rapidly growing record label run by Robert Rameek Williams, better known by his stage name, Meek Mills. In addition to the dozens of friends and family members who came together to remember Lil Snoop, several big names from the rap industry also reached out to show their support for his mother, who had raised him from the time he was born on account of Snoop's father being in prison for his son's entire life. Throughout the whole process, Snoop's dad, Charlie Brown, was extremely unsupportive. Meek Mill, who had taken Lil Snoop under his wing from the moment he first heard his mixtape, was reportedly the first rapper to contact Denisha and send her condolences. According to Snoop's mother, Lil E, who had been at the scene of the incident earlier, was also present at the funeral. After the tragic incident, Denisha Chester spoke to the police and begged them to ensure justice was made in her son's name. But little did she know that her nightmare had just begun.
The chief of police have looked me in my eyes and told me that he was going to make sure that he crossed all his T's and dotted all of his I's. He told me that every time I spoke with him, and he did neither.
Just 6 days after her son's execution, Tony Holden, the owner of the apartment where Snoop was shot, came forward and allegedly confessed to the homicide. Initially, police charged him with first-degree manslaughter, illegal possession of a firearm, as a convicted felon, and armed robbery. Without revealing too many details, police also detained Lil E and charged him with manslaughter, confirming that he too had been involved in the homicide. However, despite the initial charges, neither of the two suspects ended up being sentenced for the homicide. After a short stay in the county jail, Lil E was only charged with illegal use of a weapon and a vicious act, for which he received a $1,000 fine.
He is being charged with is illegal use of a weapon in a violent crime. And if you research that, in the state of Louisiana, that only carries up to 2 years max or a $1,000 fine.
As for Tony Holden, even though he had allegedly confessed to the homicide, he was never charged for it. In the end, Holden was sentenced to 10 years in prison for illegal possession of a firearm as a convicted felon, as well as 20 years on an unrelated illegal substance charge.
And keep in mind, he got sentenced for being a convicted felon with a firearm. They gave him 20 years for a charge, 10 years for the convicted felon with a firearm. He also was charged with the same charge, I believe, as originally. However, they ran it concurrent. He got his time.
Texans pay the price for A.G. Paxton's failures. Exhibit A, Operation Fallen Angel. Girls trafficked, but A.G. Paxton was too focused on himself. Predators walked free. Call and tell Attorney General Ken Paxton, do your job. Put Texans first.
You don't know what an AI work management platform is? Yikes. Here's 3 new AI-powered changes to the Monday platform.
After receiving this news, Snoop's mother was devastated and extremely confused. There were only 3 people in the apartment at the time of her son's execution, and yet neither of the suspects had been held legally responsible for the incident. The Winfield chief of police even attempted to write off her son's homicide as a deal gone wrong, alleging that the autopsy report had revealed the presence of illegal substances in his system at the time of his passing.
This wasn't no deal gone bad situation. And I think that's what they tried to paint the narrative, because the police told me, he said, no, the district attorney said, well, you know, your son had marijuana and promethazine in his system. I said, did that kill him? He said, no. I said, well, don't mention that to me.
Denisha was enraged at the police's handling of her son's case and began expressing her frustration on multiple news outlets and social media. One of her main sources of anger was the fact that less than 8 hours after her son had been executed, unidentified suspects broke into the apartment to rob it. This, of course, made it more difficult to use the evidence that had been left behind from the previous night's incident. Around that time, Lil Snupe's mother spoke to Tony Holden in prison, and he told her a very different version of the story. According to him, there was a lot of cash in the apartment on the night of the homicide, and Lil E had been allegedly clutching his gun suspiciously while Tony and Snoop played video games, which made Tony believe that Lil E was planning a robbery. After finishing the game, Tony mentioned that he kicked Lil E out of his apartment, but the situation continued to escalate when Lil E started banging on the door with his gun. As per Tony's account, he opened the door for Lil E, which led to multiple shots being exchanged between the two. Amid the chaos, Lil Snupe tried to run away, but was allegedly intercepted by Edric, who proceeded to rob him, shot him in the hand, and he succumbed to his injuries.
And that's what he said.
He told me, he said, it's not the people with the money that's going to change. It's going to be the people without the money that's going to change.
And
the reason why they're hurt is because that was so true.
Despite the police department's version of the events, Tony's story was consistent with what Denisha believed had happened that night. She had always suspected Lil E had assassinated her son, not Tony. Every time they had interacted after the incident, he had given her a different version of the story and had never seemed honest or forthcoming. Unfortunately, the police weren't diligent about interrogating Lil E. In the months following the incident, Denisha mentioned that on the morning of the homicide, police spent a total of 5 minutes interrogating him after tracking him down. By the time the funeral was over and Denisha came back to the police station, he was already a free man. In addition to Tony Holden's story, there was also a mountain of evidence pointing to Lil E. After the homicide, it was confirmed that he took off in the car Snoop had been driving, which is incredibly suspicious in and of itself. As if that weren't enough, police found Snoop's blood in the car after the incident. But despite the solid evidence, police never held Lil E responsible for his involvement in the homicide.
And if nothing else, Edric left Snoop, his bro, his friend. He left him, jumped in the vehicle which Snoop was driving, and he left him. So my question would be, where would the keys come from?
Sadly, this was not the only time the Winfield Police Department failed to deliver on its promise to serve and protect. About a month after the homicide, Denisha received an email that was sent from her son's email address. She immediately went to the police to see if they could track the IP address, or at least launch an investigation to learn who still had access to Snoop's email, but the police did nothing.
I also received an email from Snoop's email asking for new music 1 month after Snoop was killed. Since a close friend of Snoop's, do you have any unheard music? I then went to the police station, logged into their computer through Gmail, showed them the email we received, asked them to track the IP address so we can find out who has Snoop's phone. That was never done.
In 2015, 2 years after Snoop's passing, Denisha received a letter from the Winfield Police Department stating that the investigation would not be pursued any further and that her son's case was closed.
In 2015, I received a letter telling me that my son's case was closed. They didn't have enough decency to meet with me, give me a phone call. You sent me a letter. That was the most cowardice thing I've ever seen. Like, you don't have enough courage to call me or meet with me, to look me in my face and tell me, hey, we're just not going to do anything about your son being killed.
The Mediterranean diet is the world's healthiest diet, and Factor makes it easy to eat that way every day. A true Mediterranean meal should be full of colorful fruits and veggies.
Tragically, that same year, a warrant was put out for Lil E's arrest in connection with the assassination of another young man. As of 2023, he has been on the run for 5 years. 2 years later, in 2017, Denisha Chester's suspicions were finally confirmed. Ballistic evidence confirmed that the bullets that had been found in Lil Snupe's body had come from Lil E's gun, not from Tony Holden's. Unfortunately, Snoop's case was no longer the Winfield Police Department's priority, and no further action was taken. To this day, it's still unknown what exactly happened on the night of June 20th, 2013. Despite his tragically short career, Lil Snoop's legacy continued to live on through his fans, his collaborators, his friends, and most importantly, his mother, who had continued campaigning for justice for over a decade.
One, Tony Holden did not kill Snoop. It was Edric Stewart.
In 2017, she produced a documentary called The Dream Chaser about her son's life. It was screened at the 2021 DocuFest Film Festival in Dallas. She also wrote a book about her son and has continued being an active voice on social media, constantly exposing the police's poor handling of the case and demanding justice for her son. Even though he had turned 18 just 7 days before his execution, Snoop had already collaborated with some of the biggest names in the industry, including Boosie Badass, Meek Mill, and DJ Khaled, and was on his way to superstardom in the rap world. He is remembered by his loyal fans and admiring collaborators as an extremely talented young rapper who sacrificed everything to chase his dream. Frequently compared to Tupac, Lil Snoop is remembered for his enormous talent and potential, which the world was sadly only able to witness and enjoy for a short while. To this day, rappers such as Boosie Badass, Trey the Truth, Yo Gotti, and Meek Mill continue.
This is Blue Chew Gold, the ultimate 4-in-1 formula.
Like I said, I'm gonna get your girl and I'm gonna make you buy back. And you know I'm riding dirty 26 on the left.
I'm the hottest out the 318. Swear to God, I put that say. Louisiana is my town. I hold it down for my state. Everywhere I go, the niggas know that I'm the truth. From the motherfucking streets to the motherfucking booth. There you go. Off the top right there. Off the top. Those off the top. I thought those were written.
It's gonna be like, you know, Boots in Louisiana. You know, like it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna spread everywhere, and they know he had that talent.
Yeah, Lil Snoop. That's still my man. That's fucked up what happened, and I feel like in the recent rise of like youth, like the young rappers making like millions of dollars quick. I feel like he'd have been a millionaire, you know what I'm saying? And I think that the fool that smoked him kind of had that in the back of his mind the whole time and probably wasn't into seeing him, you know, with that.
You know, and it hurt that we had to, you know, that we have to bury him today. Like you took away a friend, a son, and an icon to a lot of people.
Whether they called him Lil Snoop or just a Darian, many say he was a rising star they'll not soon forget.
Darren Ross, aka Lil Snoop, was born on June 13,
1995, in Jonesboro, Louisiana, to his mother, Denisha Chester, and his father, Charlie Brown. His mom had him at a very young age, and his dad would be in and out of prison for much of his life. Jonesboro is a small town of less than 5,000 in the Jackson County parish. Not too many people are able to make it out, and the resources to succeed are almost non-existent. Growing up, he watched his mom struggle as a young parent trying to make ends meet and provide the best that she could. Lil Snupe, and it would prove to be a life-changing decision. He made the drive from Jonesboro to Grambling with Little E and his friends, and when they arrived, the concert was absolutely packed. Snoop still made his way through a sea of people to find the security guard who was going to let him backstage to see Meek, giving him that one moment that he needed to hand his rap idol his demo. But the security guard had bad news. It was too many people backstage, and it just wasn't enough room to let him back there. But she did tell Snoop that she could take his demo CD and hand it to Meek Mill directly. He was disappointed but agreed. Then he remembered that he had a second demo CD. His producer Senil's advice had went from being an afterthought to absolute genius. He then left the building through a side door, and when he stepped outside, he was staring directly at Meek Mill's SUV, and it was completely empty. He knew at some point Meek and his crew would have to come outside, and that would be his opportunity to give him his demo. When he seen Meek get in the truck, he ran over and tapped on the window, and when it rolled down, he threw his demo tape inside and told him to check it out before walking away.
So we come out, you know what I'm saying, get in the van. Yeah, they get in the van, they finna go. I knock on the door, I knock on the window, you know what I'm saying? They look over, and I hold my mixtape up. You know what I'm saying? The driver let down the window, they grab it. And I walked off. So boom, we go to the little party. We outside chilling before we go in and shit outside the party. So my homeboy them telling me like, I might nigga threw your shit out the window, man. Ain't nobody listen to that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he like, man, you fine, but I don't know about this nigga just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yo, what's up? It's your boy Meek Mill, and my first time with Lil Snupe, I remember leaving out of a college in Louisiana. When I was leaving out of college, there was a lot of people banging on my window, but it was one young kid.
Snoop, the crime scene was surrounded by onlookers, and as Denisha made her way through the crowd, she laid eyes on her son and immediately broke down. She was consoled by the chief of the Wynn. He was on the verge of rap stardom.
We put this out on FlavesUniverse.com.
Yeah, it's gonna be nasty.
They about to start coming for you. You ready
Yeah,
for that?
yeah.
All right. Okay.
It's
damn.
going down.
Okay. Cool. All right. Good, man.
He's that new dude, man. That's what I let him know. I already know, man. Hey, look, this shit is real. He just came out.
man, Coon, if I walk out that bitch, I say, what's the f***ing deal? They start going f***ing crazy. I start these motherfuckers was saying lyrics, nigga. Just a nigga say I'm too hot, living the life of Biggie and Tupac. You know who shot his ass with that ooh-wop. They Jay-Z go broke, nigga, when Snoop stop. That'll be never, bitch. I'm only getting better. About whatever. I'm a trendsetter, man. It's cold out here. I'm in the world.
Where you at?
I knew that I'd make it out one day.
I talked to Meek after the battle.
After the battle, what did he say?
He told me he was about to change Snoop's life. Yep.
And what did you say to him?
I was just like, I'm telling y'all, I was like, y'all see this shit?
Hello there. Hello there. Hello there. Hello there.
On June 19th of 2013, Lil Snupe was back in his hometown after taking a break from touring, and he had just celebrated his 18th birthday a few days earlier. He spent most of that day with his mom, and she stated that she remembers a conversation that they had about his career and what was coming up next, talking about all of the great things that Snoop had going on in his life and how excited they were about the future. She said that he talked about how some of his friends around him was already starting to change due to the fame, and he knew that as his career continued to grow, he would have to make his circle much smaller.
We were just talking, and I don't remember the details, but what stuck out to me was he said, Mama, you're gonna go. He said, and you're gonna spend thousands of dollars. He said, and people are gonna change on you, Mama. He told me, he said, it's not the people with the money that's gonna change, it's gonna be the people without the money that's gonna change.
And
the reason why that hurt is because that was so true.
At around midnight on June 20th, 2013, Lil Snupe and Lil E left Jonesboro and headed to another town called Winfield about 30 minutes away. They were headed to the apartment of a 36-year-old man named Tony Holden, somebody that Snoop met through Lil E. The plan was for them to gamble on the video game 2K13. Whoever wins gets $100. But something went wrong during the night. Things would take a dark turn, and by the morning, Lil Snupe was dead. His mom got a knock on her door at about 5 a.m. She actually thought it was Snoop, because the way that the person knocked was similar to the way that he did. But when she opened the door, it wasn't her son. It was her next door neighbor in tears, saying that she had just got a bad call and Lil Snupe had been murdered. Denisha didn't want to believe what she was hearing, and when her neighbor told her that it happened in Winfield, she got in her car and immediately got on the highway. She called Snoop's manager and he put her on a three-way call with Meek Mill. They talked for the entire drive down there, trying to figure out what was really going on and what happened to Snoop. The crime scene was surrounded by onlookers, and as Denisha made her way through the crowd, she laid eyes on her son and immediately broke down. She was consoled by the chief of the Winfield Police Department, Johnny Ray Carpenter, who vowed that he would find out who did this to her son. News outlets began to report that he died over a drug deal gone wrong. Then it was changed to a dice game, and finally they said it was over the 2K video game. Snoop's mom didn't really know what to believe, but one person was ready to tell her the story about what happened, Snoop's friend Lil E. And after getting his side of the story and speaking with the Winfield Police Department, it would come out that Tony Holden was the one responsible for shooting Lil Snupe, but he was still on the run from law enforcement. Edric Stewart attended his wake with the family, as well as his funeral, playing the role of a grieving friend. Denisha said that she was always skeptical of Lil E's story, but she had no choice but to believe him during that time. But as she continued to investigate and learn new information, she would soon learn that Lil E was never Snoop's friend, and he was more like Bishop, the character portrayed by legendary rapper Tupac Shakur in the 1991 film Juice. He killed his best friend Raheem and attended the funeral hugging his mother. And in Snoop's mom's opinion, this character embodied who Lil E really was, an evil snake who would backdoor his own friends. After speaking with people around the small town of Winfield, she would learn that Tony Holden wasn't even on the run. People said that they witnessed the chief of police, Johnny Ray Carpenter, drive him away in the front seat of his patrol car. This confused Denisha because the same person that vowed to find Snoop's killer was harboring the person allegedly responsible for the murder. She was able to get in contact with people who were close to Tony Holden and able to get his side of the story. And according to him, it wasn't just over a game of 2K. There was much more to the story. He said that Snoop and Lil E did come to his apartment that night to play 2K for $100 a game. But while they were all kicking it, him and Lil E ended up having words that put tension in the air. He said that him and Snoop continued to play 2K, and Lil E was sitting on the couch behind him. But every time he looked back, Lil E had a mean mug on his face and was acting like he was clutching for his gun. Tony said he got up and went to his room and came back with his .45 caliber pistol, pointing at Lil E, telling him that it was time to go. He said that he did leave the apartment, arguing the entire way out the door. Tony and Lil Snupe tried to continue their game of 2K, but 5 minutes later it would be a knock at the door. It was Lil E, and it sounded like he was banging on the door with the handle of a gun. Tony said that he opened the door with his pistol already raised, and he escorted Lil E out of his apartment building at gunpoint. Snoop followed behind trying to de-escalate the situation. He said that the commotion continued outside, and it got to the point where he actually fired a shot at Lil E. Then he took off running along with Lil Snupe down a gangway that led to the back of the apartment building. Tony said that he lost sight of them after that, but he did hear 2 gunshots come from behind the apartment, and those had to be the same 2 gunshots that killed Lil Snupe. This story made Denisha believe that something happened between her son and his so-called friend Lil E, resulting in an altercation and ultimately Lil E killing him, then robbing him. Lil Snupe didn't have his jewelry, money, or the car keys of the vehicle that he drove over there in. It was gone, leading his mom to believe that he was backstabbed by one of his so-called friends.
Hold up. Hey, Snoop, you rocking with me tonight? Fucking
Rest in peace to my Lil Snoop. We're gonna shine hard for you, love. Levels.
I'm standing here at the Maplewood Apartments where earlier this morning at 4 o'clock, Adarian Ross, also known as Lil Snupe, was murdered.
I woke up this morning and I lost a great friend. He was a rapper. He inspired many kids to live out their dreams.
Winfield police say Lil Snupe was shot twice in the chest and died at the scene. They say the motive is still not clear.
As we get more information, I think it'll be more clear as to what that motive might have been.
In the span of just a couple of hours, the crime scene has turned into a memorial where people are bringing flowers, cards, and candles.
What caused it? What caused the altercation? What happened?
That's what I don't know. Like, I don't know the real truth because the older person told me that basically him and Snoop was playing the game and that the little friend that Snoop had with him, the guy that actually murdered him, because it's not his friend, he kept clutching. He had a gun. He kept clutching. So the older guy told me that raised a flag for him. Like, what are you doing? I got all this money in here. And so what are you doing?
They don't want you to know about it.
Hey, did you know you might get a big cash payout if you were in a car accident up to 1 year ago? Even if you weren't driving. Just click the link around this.
On June 25, 2013, MTV reported that Tony Holden turned himself in to law enforcement, being charged with first-degree murder, armed robbery, and a felon in possession of a firearm. And on July 3, 2013, Edric Stewart would be arrested and charged with manslaughter. Things were starting to look up in the Lil Snupe murder investigation, and his mom felt that justice would really be served over the tragic death of her son. That's why she was completely stunned when she learned just 2 months later that Tony Holden's charges would be reduced, the murder charge would be dropped, and the armed robbery charge would be dropped. And the only thing that would stand would be a felon in possession of a firearm, which carried a sentence of up to 10 years in prison, but not nearly enough for the involvement in the death of her son. And to make things even worse, Lil E's charge of manslaughter would be dropped due to lack of evidence. This absolutely devastated Lil Snupe's mom, Denisha. She didn't understand what was going on, but the more she learned about the chief of police in Winfield, Louisiana, Johnny Ray Carpenter, the more things made sense. She learned that Tony Holden was a well-known drug dealer in Winfield and had connections to the police chief, not to mention that in 2011, he spent 6 months in federal prison for obstruction of justice charges. This made Denisha come to the realization that the system was completely corrupt. In 2014, Tony Holden was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but the very next year in 2015, Lil Snupe's mom received a letter from the Winfield Police Department saying that her son's case had been officially closed, meaning that Lil E would never be brought up on charges and face justice. Denisha did believe that Tony Holden played a role in Snoop's death, but she also believed that it was Lil E who fired the fatal shots. She would fight for the next 2 years to have the case reopened, and she was finally able to succeed, getting charges brought up on Lil E and a trial date set for January of 2018. But there was only one issue. He wasn't brought up on the murder charges that she was hoping for. It was the illegal use of a firearm during a violent crime, which in the state of Louisiana carries 1 to 2 years in prison or a simple fine of $1,000. Ultimately, Lil E would pay the fine and the case would be once again closed. After having to endure what she considered to be a miscarriage of justice, Lil Snupe's mom would go on the internet, spreading the word about how poorly her son's case was handled by the DA and by the chief of police. She told a story about how she planned on suing the Winfield Police Department in a civil suit, but was told to wait until the Tony Holden case had concluded, or it could possibly cause complications. But when she tried to file the civil suit after Tony Holden's trial, she was told that the statute of limitations had already passed. something that she knew that the courts and law enforcement was already aware of and set her up. She also did numerous interviews online openly talking about the man who she felt was responsible for killing her son, Lil E. But he would also do his own set of interviews refuting her claims, stating that she really didn't know what she was talking about when it came to the relationship of him and Lil Snupe.
What's up with it? I'm E, Edge Store, person who getting accused by Snoop Mama that I killed him, but I didn't do it. All right, facts proof.
When you saw the interview, what was your initial reaction?
Shit, I ain't know what she was talking about. Like, that's how I know she ain't really know me. So that's why she probably feel like, shit, oh, I don't know him, he probably did this, but she don't really know me, so, and she met me, like, really trying to get to know her at a bad time, like, and her son died, yeah.
Okay, so, correct me if I'm wrong, she didn't really get a chance, she didn't get to try to get to know you until after Snoop passed away.
Yeah, like, she ain't tried, I see her, you know, we go around, get the car, and she speak, we leave, like, shit.
And that was pretty much it?
Yeah, that was pretty much it, that's the only time, like, you know, we really wasn't around. Because when I come down, we stayed at the grandma's crib. Or we go fuck with Humper, Lester, or Cola or somebody. We go shoot out of town, you know. We have fun and shit. Man, that shit used to be fun.
Okay. And so you pretty much knew Snoop before he even signed the Dream Chasers.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he put me on Meek though, like, he put me on Meek Mill because I ain't know him, you feel me? So when he coming around, he'll be in there when I go to class and come back and he bumping that, what that shit called, that Tony store. He bumping that bitch. I'm like, damn, what the fuck that is? He like, that's Meek Mill. That was his favorite rapper, so that shit was crazy. Him getting, you know, fucking with his favorite rapper, like, yeah, that shit 1 million.
All right, okay. And so Meek Mill, and also he was a big fan of Lil Boosie, right?
Yeah.
Boosie fan. All right. And so when Meek left for Philadelphia, when Snoop left for Philadelphia, then when he hopped on the Greyhound, did he tell you before he was going?
He told me that the day he would leave. Like, I ain't know beforehand. I knew when he would leave. Like, shit, when he finna get on the bus, that's when he like, man, I'm finna do it. I ain't know he was just gonna do it. I ain't know it went that far. He called and told me, like, Meek Mill tweeting my lyrics. I'm like, what you talking about? He like, man, go get on Twitter. So we got on Twitter, and he was tweeting me, yeah. So shit, I was like, oh yeah, we finna go, son. And shit, he went.
Right. Okay, so that same night, at Grambling, the story is that's when he knocked on the window and gave Meek a mixtape, right?
Yeah.
Were you there for that as well?
I wasn't there at that moment, but I was up there like, shit, he disappeared from us.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
So he really made that happen himself. Like, shit, he was determined. He say he gave the mixtape to a security guard that worked there to give it to him, but she didn't get the chance to give it to him. He so happened just seen him and gave it to him. He was telling me about it, but I wasn't at the like seen it, like how he just told me how he did it.
All right. Okay. And so, what was your reaction when you saw Meek Mill tweeted his lyrics?
It was crazy because that was his favorite rapper. That nigga tweet his shit like, damn, son, you gone. Like, shit, you out of here. You find it. And he knew it from the beginning because when he's been around them hoes, he tried to talk to him. He would be talking to him bad. Like, shit, man, don't be trying to fuck with me when I make it. Like, shit, he knew he was going to make it. Like, some way, somehow. Like,
right. Okay. And so, the big question that everybody has, fans, especially now after the Mama Snoop interview went down, I understand that you're currently undergoing some legal battles right now.
Yeah.
So you know you can't get in depth, and then you know how to do interviews. I don't really like So basically, can you explain what happened that night without incriminating yourself or anyone else?
Like, man, it just was, they were playing the game for some money. You know, shit, Snoop smashed him. His dude, yeah, he ain't like this shit.
Okay.
You know, it went past.
Right. Okay. So it was no dice game like some people thought and everything.
It wasn't over dice game.
Okay. All right. And so, how well did you know the other individual?
I ain't know him at all. Like, I ain't.
It was like first time meeting him?
It's my first time. Like, I ain't never met him. Like, I ain't never met him in my life. Like, shit, I ain't never been with them from my bro. Like, shit, she saying this. If I really wanted something to happen, I would have did it in my own city. You feel me? Okay. Shit, he done been in my hood. Shit, like, shit, rapping all day. They love him. You feel me? Like it
So
ain't.
you had a lot of love in Monroe.
Well, everywhere. Like, shit, around this little surrounding area, it's, you know, it's Snoop. You feel me? Like, shit, we fuck with him all day. Yeah, I got this shit tatted. Like, sipping peace, Snoop.
All right. And so, what does that stand for?
Sip his peace. Like, shit, sip your drink. He love that drink. Feel me? Got the cup. Feel me? Got the money, the weed plant. You know, we stay high. He want the money to get high. Feel me? Like, shit.
Okay. And so, how well did Snoop know Tony Holden from your knowledge?
From my knowledge, he ain't really know him. He just got drink from him. Like, shit. I don't know. Like, shit. I just heard he got drink from him. Shit, it went from there. Like, shit, I don't know how he, like, really know him. Like, if he grew up with him, if he knew him when we down, you know, John Burr, Winfield type shit.
You know, in the interview, Miss Ross said that your bullets killed Snoop.
Yeah.
But evidence and I guess everything else is proven otherwise.
Yeah.
So why do you think you were implicated in the whole situation?
So I guess I told her, you know, what it was. Shit. I guess she went with her own thought of it. Cause she ain't, like I said, she don't know me.
Right.
That shit, but I ain't have no reason to do nothing like that. Like that ain't. Feel me? I'm everywhere. Like I ain't no ask for this. Like shit, it's just something that happened to bless. You feel me? Me looking out for a little bro. And shit, he just wanted me to be around. Like shit. Like I wasn't no bodyguard. You feel me? I wasn't none of that. I'm just this nigga. You feel me? Around him. Like people get the comments on there. They get to talking about, you feel me, well, I ain't did this, I ain't did that. Like, I thought about like what I could have did different to save them, you feel me? But that ain't meant then how I got, like, shit, they got the saying my gun probably killed Snoop. After Tony turned himself in.
Okay.
Tony had to turn another gun. Because they got to ask me about the, you feel me, the rod he had.
Right.
You feel me? I'm knowing like shit, I ain't, you feel me? And then she turned my gun in, like I don't see how she's still pushing that. Like she turned the exact gun on the scene with the shells on the scene, and you know, man, that's evidence to itself. Like one bullet in them, you gonna know. Like I wouldn't be out here. Like if it was there, I wouldn't. Like I'd be gone down. You feel me? Doing 40 years.
Right. And so, also in other words, as much as Snoop was respected, you know, you either would have been dead by now or been serving time a long time ago.
Yeah, I would have, man.
Because 4 years has passed, correct?
4 years. Yeah, I would be. He just died 4 days ago. Like, you know, 4 days. Today the 24th. So we just, you know, I did my little own celebration. But yeah, man, I've been gone. They still fucking me in the jail. You probably got some people there. You know, I don't know, because they ain't telling me this. But I fuck with all the people that Snoop brought me around. Like everybody that Snoop used to fuck with, I still fuck with to this day. Like, when I got my little situation, shit, that's where I was located at, like, right there. And then, like, that shit, I don't know. Like, I'll be gone, bro.
Yo, yeah, it's White Tizzy, back again, billing it. However long it takes, man, I'll still be in. You know what I'm saying?
Artlist.io.
Yo.
Artlist.io.
Only get started when it's midnight, keeping it tight. If a nigga wanna go to war, it can get dark, but we stay bright. Coming like a night, it's on sight. Ever touch my sleeve? Niggas round there wanna disagree when it's clear that I'm speaking facts. Man like me, you know I'm proactive. Never gonna stop till I see the big man's on flats.
Hop on the front door, it's like midnight, 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 midnight.
Music licensing reimagined.
You might fall out again. Off-white whip, need for speed. I'm not switching the lane. Pick up the pace. Bro like that, I'm back to the base.
Back to the base. How I can never act. Been trying to stack up racks on racks. Boys in the back wearing all black, staying on track. But I should show you and that's on me. Nigga in this beat, if you work for the devil, better retreat. Coming too icy, come too clean, could never move shady, ain't no feed.
Shotgun, London, what's the outcome? You know, I'm a madman, just can't stick to the program. Raise up the heat, keeping the tension, shifting the gear to a different dimension. Red light, speed up, take off.
Music licensing reimagined.
Midnight, don't lose your grip, cause you might fall out again. Off-white whip, need for speed. I'm not switching the lane. Pick up the pace. Roll like that, I'm back to the base.
Back to the base. Back to the base.
Artlist.io.